For those joining us for the first time, this is a Mahabharata audiobook based on the Kisari Mohan Ganguli translation, the first complete, unabridged English translation of the epic. This channel follows the story in order from beginning as a continuous narration. Adi Parva, section 118, Sambhava Parva continued. Janamejaya said, O utterer of Brahma, thou hast recited everything about the extraordinary birth among men of the sons of Dhritarashtra in consequence of the Rishi's grace. Thou hast also said what their names are, according to the order of their birth. O Brahmana, I have heard all these from thee. But tell me now all about the Pandavas. While reciting the incarnations on earth of the celestial, the Asuras, and the beings of other classes, thou said that the Pandavas were all illustrious and endued with the prowess of gods, and that they were incarnate portions of the celestials themselves. I desire, therefore, to hear all about those beings of extraordinary achievements, beginning from the moments of their birth. O Vaisampayana, recite thou their achievements. Vaisampayana said, O king, one day Pandu, while roaming around in the woods on the southern slopes of the Himavat that teemed with deer and wild animals of fierce disposition, saw a large deer that seemed to be the leader of a herd, serving his mate. Beholding the animals, the monarch pierced them both with 5 of his sharp and swift arrows winged with golden feathers. O monarch, that was no deer that Pandu struck at, but a rishi's son of great ascetic merit, who was enjoying his mate in the form of a deer. Pierced by Pandu while engaged in the act of intercourse, he fell down on the ground, uttering cries that were of a man, and began to weep bitterly. The deer then addressed Pandu and said, O king, even men that are slaves to lust and wrath, and void of reason, and ever sinful, never commit such a cruel act as this. Individual judgment prevaileth not against the ordinance. The ordinance prevaileth against individual judgment. The wise never sanction anything discountenanced by the ordinance. Thou art born, O Bharata, in a race that hath ever been virtuous. How is it, therefore, that even thou, suffering thyself to be overpowered by passion and wrath, loseth thy reason? Hearing this, Pandu replied, O dear, kings behave in the matter of slaying animals of thy species exactly as they do in the matter of slaying foes. It behoveth thee not, therefore, to reprove me thus from ignorance. Animals of thy species are slain by open or covert means. This, indeed, is the practice of kings. Then why dost thou reprove me? Formerly, the Rishi Agastya, while engaged in the performance of a grand sacrifice, chased the deer, and devoted every deer in the forest unto the gods in general. Thou hast been slain, pursuant to the usage sanctioned by such precedent. Wherefore reprovest us then? For his special sacrifices, Agastya performed the homa with fat of the deer. The deer then said, O king, men do not let fly their arrows at their enemies when the latter are unprepared. But there is a time for doing it, after the declaration of hostilities. Slaughter at such a time is not censurable. Pandu replied, It is well known that men slay deer by various effective means, without regarding whether the animals are careful or careless. Therefore, O deer, why dost thou reprove me? The deer then said, O king, I did not blame thee for thy having killed a deer, or for the injury thou hast done to me, but instead of acting so cruelly, thou shouldst have waited till the completion of my act of intercourse. What man of wisdom and virtue is there that could kill a deer while engaged in such an act? The time of sexual intercourse is agreeable to every creature and productive of good to all. O king, with this my mate, I was engaged in the gratification of my sexual desire. But that effort of mine hath been rendered futile by thee. O king of the Kurus, as thou art born in the race of the Pauravas, ever noted for white, virtuous deeds, such an act hath scarcely been worthy of thee. O Bharata, this act must be regarded as extremely cruel, deserving of universal execration, infamous and sinful, and certainly leading to hell. Thou art acquainted with the pleasures of sexual intercourse. Thou art acquainted also with the teaching of morality and dictates of duty. Like unto a celestial as thou art, it behoveth thee not to do such an act as leadeth to hell. O best of kings, thy duty is to chastise all who act cruelly, who are engaged in sinful practices, and who have thrown to the winds religion, profit, and pleasure, as explained in the Scriptures. What hast thou done, O best of men, in killing me who have given thee no offence? I am, O king, a Muni, who liveth on fruits and roots, though disguised as a deer. I was living in the woods in peace with all, yet thou hast killed me, O king, for which I will curse thee certainly. As thou hast been cruel unto a couple of opposite sexes, death shall certainly overtake thee as soon as thou feelest the influence of sexual desire. I am a Muni of the name of Kindama, possessed of ascetic merit. I was engaged in sexual intercourse with this deer because my feelings of modesty did not permit me to indulge in such an act in human society. In the form of a deer, I rove in the deep woods in the company of other deer. Thou hast slain me without knowing that I am a Brahmana. The sin of having slain a Brahmana shall not, therefore, be thine. But, senseless man, as you have killed me, disguised as a deer, at such a time, thy fate shall certainly be even like mine. When approaching thy wife lustfully, thou wilt unite with her even as I had done with mine. In that very state shalt thou have to go to the world of the spirits. And that wife of thine, with whom thou mayest be united in intercourse at the time of thy death, shall also follow thee with affection and reverence to the domains of the King of the dead. Thou hast brought me grief when I was happy. So shall grief come to thee when thou art in happiness. Vaisampayana continued. Saying this, that deer, afflicted with grief, gave up the ghost, and Pandu also was plunged in woe at the sight. Section 119. Vaisampayana said, After the death of that deer, King Pandu, with his wives, were deeply afflicted and wept bitterly. And he exclaimed, The wicked, even if born in virtuous families, deluded by their own passions, become overwhelmed with misery as the fruit of their own deeds. I have heard that my father, though begotten by Shantanu of virtuous soul, was cut off while still a youth, only because he had become a slave to his lust. In the soil of that lustful king, the illustrious Rishi Krishnadvaipayana himself, of truthful speech, begot me. A son though I am of such a being, with my wicked heart wedded to vice, I am yet leading a wandering life in the woods, in the chase of the deer. Oh, the very gods have forsaken me. I shall seek salvation now. The great impediments to salvation are the desire to beget children and other concerns of the world. I shall now adopt the brahmacharya mode of life and follow in the imperishable wake of my father. I shall certainly bring my passions under complete control by severe ascetic penances. Forsaking my wives and other relatives, and shaving my head, alone I shall wander over the earth, begging for my subsistence from each of these trees standing here. Forsaking every object of affection and aversion, and covering my body with dust, I shall make the shelter of trees or deserted houses my home. I shall never yield to influence of sorrow or joy, and I shall regard slander and eulogy in the same light. I shall not seek benedictions or vows. I shall be at peace with all, and shall not accept gifts. I shall not mock anybody, nor shall I knit my brows at anyone, but shall be ever cherished and cheerful and devoted to the good of all creatures. I shall not harm any of the four orders of life, gifted with power of locomotion or otherwise, viparious and oviparous creatures, and worms and vegetables, but on the contrary, preserve an equality of behavior towards all, as if they were my own children. Once a day I shall beg of 5 or 10 families at the most, and if I do not succeed in obtaining alms, I shall then go without food. I shall rather stint myself than beg more than once of the same person. If I do not obtain anything after completing my round of 7 or 10 houses, moved by covetousness, I shall not enlarge my round. Whether I obtain or fail to obtain alms, I shall be equally unmoved, like a great ascetic. One lopping off an arm of mine with a hatchet, and one smearing another arm with sandal paste, shall be regarded by me equally. I shall not wish prosperity to the one, or misery to the other. I shall not be pleased with life or displeased with death. I shall neither desire to live nor die. Washing my heart of all sins, I shall certainly transcend those sacred rites productive of happiness. The men perform in auspicious moments, days and periods. I shall also abstain from all acts of religion and profit, and also all those that lead to the gratification of the senses. Freed from all sins and snares of the world, I shall be like the wind, subject to none. Following the path of fearlessness and bearing myself in this way, I shall at last lay down my life. Destitute of the power of begetting children, firmly adhering to the line of duty, I shall not certainly deviate therefrom in order to tread on the vile path of the world that is so full of misery. Whether respected or disrespected in the world that man who from covetousness casteth on others a begging look, certainly behaveth like a dog. Destitute as I am of the power of procreation, I should not certainly, from the desire of offspring, solicit others to give me children. Vaisampayana continued. The king, thus having wept in sorrow, with a sigh, looked at his two wives, Kunti and Madri, and addressing them said, Let the princess of Koshala, my mother, Vidura, the king with our friends, the venerable Satyavati, Bhishma, the priests of our family, illustrious Soma-drinking brahmanas of rigid vows, and all elderly citizens depending on us be informed, after being prepared for it, that Pandu hath retired into the woods to lead a life of asceticism. After hearing these words of their lord, who had set his heart on a life of asceticism in the woods, both Kunti and Madri addressed him in these proper words. O bull of Bharata's race, there are many other modes of life which thou canst adopt, and in which thou canst undergo the severest penances alongside us, thy wedded wives, in which, for the salvation of thy body, freedom of rebirth, thou mayest obtain heaven. We also, in the company of our Lord and for his benefit, controlling our passions and bidding adieu to all luxuries, shall subject ourselves to the severest austerities. O King, O thou of great wisdom, if thou abandonest us, we shall then this very day truly depart from this world. Pandu replied, If indeed this your resolve springeth from virtue, then with you both I shall follow the imperishable path of my fathers. Abandoning the luxuries of cities and towns, clad in barks of trees, and living on fruits and roots, I shall wander in deep woods, practicing the severest penances. Bathing morning and evening, I shall perform the Homa. I shall reduce my body by eating very sparingly, and shall wear rags and skins and knotted locks on my head. Exposing myself to heat and cold and disregarding hunger and thirst, I shall reduce my body by severe ascetic penances. I shall live in solitude and shall give myself up to contemplation. I shall eat fruit, ripe or green, that I may find. I shall offer oblations to the Pitris, the Manes, and the gods with speech, water, and fruits of the wilderness. I shall not see, far less harm, any of the denizens of the woods, or any of my relatives, or any of the residents of cities and towns. Until I lay down this body, I shall thus practice the severe ordinances of the Vanaprastha scriptures, always searching for severer ones that may come. Vaisampayana continued. The Kuru king, having said this unto his wives, gave away to Brahmanas the big jewel in his diadem, his necklace of precious gold, his bracelets, his large earrings, his valuable robes, and all the ornaments of his wives. Then summoning his attendants, he commended them, saying, Return ye to Hastinapura, and proclaim unto all that Pandu with his wives hath gone into the woods, forgoing wealth and desire, happiness, and even sexual appetite. Then those followers and attendants, hearing these and other soft words of the king, set up a loud wail, uttering, Oh, what are we to do? We are undone. Then with hot tears trickling down their cheeks, they left the monarch and returned to Hastinapura with speed, carrying that wealth with them that was to be distributed in charity. Then Dhritarashtra, that first of men, hearing from them everything that had happened in the woods, wept for his brother. He brooded over his affliction continually, little relishing the comfort of beds and seats and dishes. Meanwhile, the Kuru prince Pandu, after sending away his attendants, accompanied by his 2 wives, and eating fruits and roots, went to the mountains of Nagasata. He next went to Chaitraratha, and then crossed the Kalakuta, and finally, crossing the Himavat, he arrived at Gandhamadana, protected by Mahabhutas, Siddhas, and great rishis. Pandu lived, O king, sometimes on level ground and sometimes on mountain slopes. He then journeyed on to the lake of Indradyumna, whence, crossing the mountains of Hansakuta, he went to the mountains of 100 peaks, Sata Shringa, and there continued to practice ascetic austerities. Section 120. Sambhava Parva continued. Vaisampayana said, Pandu, possessed of great energy, then devoted himself to asceticism. Within a short time, he became the favorite of the whole body of Siddhas and Charanas residing there, and, O Bharata, devoted to the service of his spiritual masters, free from vanity, with mind under complete control and passions fully subdued, the prince, becoming competent to enter heaven by his own energy, attained to great ascetic prowess. Some of the rishis would call him brother, some friend, while others cherished him as their son. And, O bull of Bharata's race, having acquired after a long time great ascetic merit, coupled with complete singleness, Pandu became even like a Brahmarshi, though he was a Kshatriya by birth. On a certain day of the new moon, the great rishis of rigid vows assembled together, and desirous of beholding Brahma, were on the point of starting on their expedition. Seeing them about to start, Pandu asked those ascetics, saying, Ye first of eloquent men, where shall we go? The rishis answered, There will be a great gathering today in the abode of Brahma, of celestials, rishis, and pitris. Desirous of beholding the self-create, we shall go there today. Vaisampayana continued. Hearing this, Pandu rose up suddenly, desirous of visiting heaven along with the great rishis. Accompanied by his 2 wives, when he was on the point of following the rishis in the northerly direction from the mountain of 100 peaks, those ascetics addressed him, saying, In our northward march, while gradually ascending the King of Mountains, we have seen on its delightful breast many regions inaccessible to ordinary mortals. Retreats also of the gods and the Gandharvas and Apsaras, with palatial mansions by hundreds, clustering thick, resounding with the sweet notes of celestial music. The gardens of Kuvera laid out on even and uneven grounds, banks of mighty rivers and deep caverns. There are many regions also on those heights that are covered with perpetual snow and utterly destitute of vegetable and animal existence. In some places, the downpour of rain is so heavy that they are perfectly inaccessible and incapable of being utilized for habitation. Not to speak of other animals, even winged creatures cannot cross them. The only thing that can go there is air, and the only beings, siddhas and great rishis. How shall these princesses ascend to those heights of the King of Mountains? Unaccustomed to pain, shall they not droop in affliction? Therefore, come not with us, O bull of Bharat's race. Pandu replied, Ye fortunate ones, it is said that for the sunless there is no admittance into heaven. I am sunless. I, in affliction, I speak unto you. I am afflicted because I have not been able to discharge the debt I owe my ancestors. It is certain that with the dissolution of my body, my ancestors perish. Men are born on this earth with 4 debts, those due unto the deceased ancestors, the gods, the rishis, and other men. In justice, these must be discharged. The wise have declared that no regions of bliss exist for them that neglect to pay these debts in due time. The gods are gratified by sacrifices, the rishis by study, meditation, and asceticism, the deceased ancestors by begetting children and offering the funeral cake, and lastly, other men by leading a humane and inoffensive life. I have justly discharged my obligations to the rishis, the gods, and other men. But those others than these 3 are sure to perish with the dissolution of my body. Ye ascetics, I am not freed from the debt that I owe my ancestors. The best of men are born in this world to beget children for discharging that debt. I would ask you, should children be begotten in my soil upon my wives, as I myself was begotten in the soil of my father by the eminent rishi? The rishis said, O king of virtuous soul, there is progeny in store for thee, that is sinless and blessed with good fortune, like unto the gods. We behold it all with our prophetic eyes. Therefore, O tiger among men, accomplish by your own acts that which destiny pointeth out. Men of intelligence, acting with deliberation, always obtain good fruits. It behoveth thee, therefore, O king, to exert thyself. The fruits thou wouldst obtain are certainly visible. Thou wouldst really obtain accomplished and agreeable progeny. Vaisambhayana continued. Hearing these words of the ascetics, Pandu, remembering the loss of his procreative powers owing to the curse of the deer, began to reflect deeply. And calling his wedded wife, the excellent Kunti, unto him, he told her in private, Strive thou to raise offspring at this time of distress. The wise expounders of the eternal religion declare that a son, O Kunti, is the cause of virtuous fame in the 3 worlds. It is said that sacrifices, charitable gifts, and ascetic penances, and vows observed most carefully, do not confer religious merit on a sonless man. O thou of sweet smiles, knowing all this, I am certain that as I am sunless, I shall not obtain regions of true felicity. O timid one, wretch that I was and addicted to cruel deeds, as a consequence of the polluted life I led, my power of procreation hath been destroyed by the curse of the deer. The religious institutes mention 6 kinds of sons that are heirs and kinsmen, and 6 other kinds that are not heirs but kinsmen. I shall speak of them presently. O Pritha, listen to me. They are, first, the son begotten by one's own self upon his wedded wife. Second, the son begotten upon his wife by another, accomplished person from motives of kindness. Third, the son begotten upon his wife by a person for pecuniary consideration. Fourth, the son begotten upon the wife after the husband's death. Fifth, the maiden-born son. Sixth, the son born of an unchaste wife. Seventh, the son given. Eighth, the son bought for a consideration. Ninth, the son self-given. 10th, the son received with a pregnant bride. 11th, the brother's son. And 12th, the son begotten upon a wife of lower caste. On failure of offspring of a prior class, the mother should desire to have offspring of the next class. In times of distress, men solicit offspring from accomplished younger brothers. The self-born Manu hath said that men failing to have legitimate offspring of their own may have offspring begotten upon their wives by others, for sons confer the highest religious merit. Therefore, O Kunti, being destitute myself of the power of procreation, I command thee to raise good offspring through some person who is either equal or superior to me. O Kunti, listen to the history of the daughter of Saradhandayana, who was appointed by her lord to raise offspring. That warrior dame, when her monthly season hath arrived, bathed duly, and in the night went out and waited on a spot where 4 roads met. She did not wait long when a Brahmana crowned with ascetic success came there. The daughter of Saradhandayana solicited him for offspring. After pouring libations of clarified butter on the fire, in the performance of the sacrifice known by the name of Punsavana, she brought forth 3 sons that were mighty car warriors, and of whom Durjaya was the eldest, begotten upon her by that Brahmana. O thou of good fortune, do thou follow the warrior dame's example at my command, and speedily raise offspring out of the seed of some Brahmana of high ascetic merit. Section 121. Vaisampayana said, thus addressed, Kunti replied unto her heroic lord, King Pandu, that bull amongst the Kurus, saying, O virtuous one, it behoveth thee not to say so unto me. I am, O thou lotus-eyed one, thy wedded wife, devoted to thee. O Bharata of mighty arms, thyself shalt, in righteousness, beget upon me children endued with great energy. Then I shall ascend to heaven with thee, O prince of Kuru's race. Receive me in thy embrace for begetting children. I shall not certainly, even in my imagination, accept any other man except thee in my embraces. What other man is there in this world superior to thee? O virtuous one, listen to this Puranic narrative that hath been, O thou of large eyes, heard by me, and that I shall presently narrate. There was, in ancient times, a king in the race of Puru, known by the name of Yushitashva. He was devoted to truth and virtue. Of virtuous soul and mighty arms, on one occasion, while he was performing a sacrifice, the gods with Indra and the rishis came to him. And Indra, who was so intoxicated with the soma juice he drank, and the brahmanas with the large presents they received, that both the gods and the great rishis began themselves to perform everything appertaining to that sacrifice of the illustrious royal sage. And thereupon Vyushitashva began to shine above all men like the sun appearing in double splendor after the season of frost is over. And the powerful Vyushitashva, who was endued with the strength of 10 elephants, very soon performed the horse sacrifice, overthrowing, O best of monarchs, all the kings of the east, the north, the west, and the south, and exacted tributes from them all. There is an anecdote, O best of the Kurus, that is sung by all reciters of the Puranas in connection with that first of all men, the illustrious Vyushitashva. Having conquered the whole earth up to the coast of the sea, Vyushitashva protected every class of his subjects as a father does his own begotten sons. Performing many great sacrifices, he gave away much wealth to the Brahmanas. After collecting unlimited jewels and precious stones, he made arrangements for performing still greater ones. And he performed also the Agnishtoma and other Vedic sacrifices that were special, extracting great quantities of soma juice. And, O king, Vyushitashva had for his dear wife, Bhadra, the daughter of Kakshivat, unrivaled for beauty on earth. And it hath been heard by us that the couple loved each other deeply. King Vyushitashva was seldom separated from his wife. Sexual excess, however, brought on an attack of phthisis, and the king died within a few days, sinking like the sun in his glory. Then Bhadra, his beautiful queen, was plunged in woe, and she was sonless. O tiger among men, she wept in great affliction. Listen to me, O king, as I narrate to you all that Bhadra said with bitter tears trickling down her cheeks. O virtuous one, she said, women serve no purpose when their husbands are dead. She who liveth after her husband is dead draggeth on a miserable existence that can hardly be called life. O bull of the Kshatriya order, death is a blessing to women without husbands. I wish to follow the way thou hast gone. Be kind and take me with thee. In thy absence I am unable to bear even life for a moment. Be kind to me, O king, and take me hence pretty soon. O tiger among kings, I shall follow thee over even and uneven grounds. Thou hast gone away, O Lord, never to return. I shall follow thee, O king, as thy own shadow. O tiger among men, I will obey thee as thy slave, and will ever do what is agreeable to thee, and what is for thy good. O thou of lotus eyes, without thee, from this day, mental agonies will overwhelm me and eat into my heart. A wretch that I am, some loving couple had doubtless been separated by me in a former life, for which, in this life, I am made to suffer the pangs of separation from thee. O king, that wretched woman who liveth even for a moment separated from her Lord, liveth in woe and suffereth the pangs of hell even here. Some loving couple hath doubtless been separated by me in a former life, for which sinful act I am suffering this torture arising from my separation from thee. O king, from this day I will lay myself down on a bed of kusha grass and abstain from every luxury, hoping to behold thee once more. O tiger among men, show thyself to me. O king, O Lord, command once more thy wretched and bitterly weeping wife plunged in woe. Kunti continued. It was thus, O Pandu, that the beautiful Bhadra wept over the death of her lord, and the weeping Bhadra clasped in her arms the corpse in anguish of heart. Then she was addressed by an incorporeal voice in these words: Rise up, O Bhadra, and leave this place. O thou of sweet smiles, I grant thee this boon. I will beget offspring upon thee. Lie down with me on thy own bed, after the catamenial bath, on the night of the 8th or the 14th day of the moon. Thus addressed by the incorporeal voice, the chaste Bhadra did as she was directed for obtaining offspring. And, O bull of the Bharatas, the corpse of her husband begat upon her 7 children, 3 Salvas and 4 Madras. O bull of the Bharatas, do thou also beget offspring upon me, like the illustrious Vyushitashva, by the exercise of that ascetic power which thou possesseth. Section 122. Vaisampayana said, thus addressed by his loving wife, King Pandu, well acquainted with all rules of morality, replied in these words of virtuous import. O Kunti, what thou hast said is quite true. Vyushitashva of old did even as thou hast said. Indeed, he was equal unto the celestials themselves. But I shall now tell thee about the practices of old indicated by illustrious rishis, fully acquainted with every rule of morality. O thou of handsome face and sweet smiles, women formerly were not immured within houses and dependent on husbands and other relatives. They used to go about freely, enjoying themselves as best as they liked. O thou of excellent qualities, they did not then adhere to their husbands faithfully, and yet, O handsome one, they were not regarded sinful, for that was the sanctioned usage of the time. That very usage is followed to this day by birds and beasts without any exhibition of jealousy. That practice, sanctioned by precedent, is applauded by great rishis. O thou of taper thighs, the practice is yet regarded with respect amongst the northern Kurus. Indeed, that usage, so lenient to women, hath the sanction of antiquity. The present practice, however, of women's being confined to one husband for life, hath been established but lately. I shall tell thee in detail who established it and why. It hath been heard by us that there was a great rishi of the name of Udalaka, who had a son named Swetaketu, who was also an ascetic of merit. O thou of eyes like lotus petals, the present virtuous practice hath been established by that Swetaketu from anger. Hear thou the reason. One day, in the presence of Swetaketu's father, a Brahmana came, and catching Swetaketu's mother by the hand, told her, "Let us go." Beholding his mother seized by the hand and taken away apparently by force, the son was greatly moved by wrath. Seeing his son indignant, Udalaka addressed him and said, "Be not angry, O son. This is the practice sanctioned by antiquity. The women of all orders in this world are free, O son. Men in this matter, as regards their respective orders, act as kine." The rishi's son, Swetaketu, however, disapproved of the usage and established in the world the present practice as regards to men and women. It hath been heard by us, O thou of great virtue, that the existing practice dates from that period among human beings, but not among beings of other classes. Accordingly, since the establishment of the present usage, it is sinful for women not to adhere to their husbands. Women transgressing the limits assigned by the Rishi became guilty of slaying the embryo. And men, too, violating a chaste and loving wife who hath from her maidenhood observed the vow of purity, became guilty of the same sin. The woman also, who, being commanded by her husband to raise offspring, refuses to do his bidding, becometh equally sinful. Thus, O timid one, was the usage established of old by Swetaketu, the son of Udalaka, in defiance of antiquity. O thou of taper thighs, it hath also been heard by us that Madayanti, the wife of Saudasa, commanded by her husband to raise offspring, went unto Rishi Vashishta, and going in unto him, the handsome Madayanti obtained a son named Asmaka. She did this, moved by the desire of doing good to her husband. O thou of lotus eyes, thou knowest, O timid girl, how we ourselves, for the perpetuation of the Kuru race, were begotten by Krishna Dvaipayana. O faultless one, beholding all these precedents, it behoveth thee to do my bidding, which is not inconsistent with virtue, O princess, who is devoted to her husband. It hath also been said by those acquainted with the rules of morality, that a wife, when her monthly season cometh, must ever seek her husband, though at other times she deserveth liberty. The wise have declared this to be the ancient practice. But be the act sinful or sinless, those acquainted with the Vedas have declared that it is the duty of wives to do what their husbands bid them do. Especially, O thou of faultless features, I, who am deprived of the power of procreation, have yet become desirous of beholding offspring, deserve the more to be obeyed by thee. O amiable one, joining my palms furnished with rosy fingers, and making of them a cup as of lotus leaves, I place them on my head to propitiate thee. O thou of lair looks, it behoveth thee to raise offspring at my command, through some Brahmana possessed of high ascetic merit. For then, owing to thee, O thou of fair hips, I may go the way that is reserved for those that are blessed with children. Vaisampayana continued, thus addressed by Pandu, that subjugator of hostile cities, the handsome Kunti, ever attentive to what was agreeable and beneficial to her lord, then replied unto him, saying, In my girlhood, O Lord, I was in my father's house, engaged in attending upon all guests. I used to wait respectfully on brahmanas of rigid vows and of great ascetic merit. One day, I gratified with my attentions that brahmana whom people called Durvasa, of mind under full control and possessing knowledge of all the mysteries of religion. Pleased with my services, that brahmana gave me a boon in the form of a mantra for calling into my presence any one of the celestials I liked. And the rishi, addressing me, said, Anyone among the celestials whom thou callest by this shall, O girl, approach thee and be obedient to thy will, whether he liketh or not. And, O princess, thou shalt also have offspring through his grace. O Bharata, that Brahmana told me that when I lived in my father's house, The words uttered by the Brahmana can never be false. The time also hath come when they may yield fruit. Commanded by thee, O royal sage, I can, by that mantra, summon any of the celestials, so we may have good children. O foremost of all truthful men, tell me of which of the celestials I shall summon. Know that, as regards this matter, I wait your commands. Hearing this, Pandu replied, O handsome one, strive duly this very day to gratify our wishes. Fortunate one, summon thou the God of justice. He is the most virtuous of the celestials. The God of justice and virtue will never be able to pollute us with sin. The world also, O beautiful princess, will then think that what we do can never be unholy. That son also that we shall obtain from him shall in virtue be certainly the foremost among the Kurus. Begotten by the God of justice and morality, he would never set us heart upon anything that is sinful or unholy. Therefore, O thou of sweet smiles, steadily keeping virtue before thy eyes, and duly observing holy vows, summon thou the God of justice and virtue by the help of thy solicitations and incantations. Vaisampayana said. Then Kunti, that best of women, thus addressed by her lord, said, So be it. And bowing down to him and reverently circumambulating his person, she resolved to do his bidding.